Welcome to another great edition of Slingin Dirt, presented by Lost Dog Design. That is time number one that Raina doesn't have to email me that I got her name and her company's name wrong.
Whoa. Email you?
Yeah.
She emails me, and then
true.
I forward it to you.
It's probably a good thing she doesn't have my email address.
Fatmanstan at hotmail.com, I think.
Oh, boy, that's great.
Was that right?
No, thank God.
Okay. Fatmanstan at something, though.
Right. Okay, so let's get right into it. This week, we're going to break down point standings for the Iowa tracks. We've got four tracks to break down, and the Joe's Karting Point Series, right?
No,
or five and Joe's.
5 and Joe's.
Okay, God, we got a lot of talking to do. Where should we start? You want to start with Crawford? You want to start with Shelby?
Why don't you start with Crawford? You got the points over there.
All right. So in your Sport Compact feature, Shannon Malberg had a bit of an issue with his registration. I've been calling him Shane all season long. Turns out it's Shannon, but there is a Shane in the Malberg family, so at least I kept it within the family. So Shannon Malberg, car number, driver the number 22 out of Odebo, Iowa, was your winner for the Sport Compact feature. Deb Brosh came in second, Alex Davis third, Randy Cass fourth, and Patrick Rodinus rounded out your top five. In your hobby stock division, Craig Brotherton absolutely walked away with it. He had the car to beat.
Wow, did he ever?
And I've been saying it for a while that I think that Corey Madden is the only guy that can beat Justin Nearing at Crawford County Speedway. And unfortunately, because of an incident a few weeks ago, Corey's no longer racing at Crawford. So I kind of figured Justin would run away with the points lead. But Craig Brotherton, that 45B car out of Wall Lake, Iowa, just simply had it hooked up on an awesome track again. 2 weeks in a row, those guys have had a beautiful track. The drivers loved it. The fans loved it. I loved it. I know you loved the track. It was beautiful.
I love the track, but here's one thing. When we break down the points and we're talking about a recap, have you noticed that every week it seems like there's always somebody new up there winning? You don't see the same. I mean, you might see the same drivers up there constantly in the top five, but we've had a lot of different feature winners every week at Crawford County.
Oh yeah, it's there's only been Justin is the only one off the top of my head that's had back-to-back wins. I thought he was going to three-peat it because he was right up there, but Craig just kind of pulled away the last couple of laps. So Justin Nearing does pull up a second place finish. Jason Fusselman in the 55 out of Shelby, Iowa, gets third. Willie Ransom fourth, and Cody Gustav fifth. Good to see Willie Ransom back up there. He's had a tough couple of weeks. I don't know if there was something wrong with that car. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but
he had to go to the frame shop and do some work on it. But if you remember right, I told you here a week or two ago, Willie Ransom is somebody not to count out. He's a trooper, he's a fighter, and he's going to be there at the end. Yeah,
it just seemed like he was having trouble with I thought maybe he was having trouble with the track. Turns out he had a bent frame because he got into a heck of an accident at Harlan, I believe, 3 weeks ago.
Thought his car was done, and obviously it's not done. He's still a competitor.
For your sport mods, the 07 Bud Pash out of Ottawa, Iowa, takes the checkered flag. Tim Roop, who has come on strong last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he has. I've noticed that.
He's top five every single week. I think if he'd have been there in the beginning of the season, that he'd definitely be up in the battle for the points championship.
Thank God he wasn't there. I wouldn't be top five in points.
I was actually timing how long it took for you to bring that up, and we're 3.5 minutes into the show, so don't strain yourself, patting yourself on the back, buddy.
I'm trying.
Tanner Powers comes in third, Steve Reitz comes in fourth, and Doug Bartles comes in fifth. Buddy Ray pulls out a top 10 again, comes in seventh, so not a bad night for Buddy.
The first 3 weeks I was, way in the back.
Wrecked.
But after starting that fourth week, I've been top 10 every week. But the one thing I got to give a shout out in the sport mods is that 60 car of Tanner Powers, because in the heat race, he actually bent or broke some steering, and he went off into turn 3 in the weeds. And as a competitor, nobody wishes bad luck on anybody, but it's like, ooh, hey, he's above me in the points, and I might have a shot, but he came back and finished third. That a boy, Tanner.
Well, because he was actually leading the race, and I believe he had quite a bit of a lead. He definitely had the car to beat that night, and then all of a sudden, right in the middle of 3 and 4, his front wheel breaks. So bad break for Tanner Powers in the 60 as he ends up finishing third that night. Fourth goes to Steve Reitz, and Doug Bartles out of Lynott takes out the top 5 for your sport mod, for your Joe's Karting Sport Mod division. As of July 13th, those are the results. For your stock car division, Chris Ulrich gets himself another win. Adam Clucky.
Shocker.
Yeah, no kidding. Adam. I had a guy come up and cuss at me on Friday night.
I was standing right there.
How much I love Chris Ulrich, and just for the sake of anything, your track announcer, I want to point out the fact that half of the track the crowd shows up for Chris Ulrich. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about him a little bit more. But anyways, so Adam Cluckey finishes second. Donovan Smith finishes third. Bill Reitz finishes fourth. And Terry Cluckey finishes fifth. So the Cluckey boys bringing in 2 top 5s. Good job for those guys. Your late model division, Jay Stewart wins. Again, that guy had a damn fast car again.
Yeah, oh, my God, was he fast.
Where did he come from, by the way? This is the second week he's raced at Crawford, and
he's actually a Shelby County Saturday night car down there at Harlan.
Okay,
but man, it was impressive. What was impressive about him is he had that left rear running on that low line around Crawford County, and I believe we had Haney finishing second, and he was running the high line, and you got to see 2 very distinct driving styles.
And that was an awesome battle between those two.
Oh,
between
absolutely.
Jason Haney and Jay Stewart, that was a fantastic battle. Vic Lovejoy comes in third.
Good run for him.
Another great finish for him. He was actually the winner last week. I apologize. Jay Stewart finished second the week in the week of July 6th. So Vic Lovejoy finishes third. Jeff Siegebart finishes fourth, and Mel Zeitner out of Bellevue comes up and does a quick run and gets himself a top 5. He looked really good.
Yeah, he's actually he's got a lot of experience. He's been to Denison before, not on the new track, but on the big track. He's been racing, I want to say, for 30, 35 years. His son, Kevin Zeitner, I believe that's his son, Kevin Zeitner, drives Sport Compacts at Eagle. Mel is a really fun guy to get to know and get to drive, but he races Saturday nights at Corning down there, Adams County, and he does pretty good down there.
Yeah, I wish I'd have got an opportunity to get down to the pits to talk to him, but there was a lot of stuff going on Friday night at Crawford.
Did you ever hear what happened to Al, though? That was
I heard a couple of different stories, and I think if you listen to the front stretch on Sunday morning coming up this week, you're going to hear us in Turn 4 talk about the heat and the effect it's having on drivers. And I'm going to say that the consistent story I heard was that it was just too hot and he wasn't feeling good. So he didn't run. But I also heard things that he was not happy with the track. He was not happy with another driver tearing up his equipment. So he just decided to trailer it and get the heck out of it.
I'm not going to lie. Friday night after the races were done, I'm really proud of the fans, and I really love the fans that I've acquired at Crawford County Speedway. But, I'm every week I'm starting to stay later and later and later. Well, by the time we went home, I actually had to pull off the side of the road because I was just I was just down for the count, and Nate Hernandez, my one crew member, ended up driving my truck and trailer home, which he thought was a gift from God.
Yeah.
But yeah, the heat, it wouldn't shock me. A lot of us were really suffering.
Yeah,
really suffering.
We talked about it. We won't do a lot of it because we want you to listen to the front stretch in Turn 4, but the key to racing on Friday night is you got to start hydrating Tuesday or Wednesday.
Or Wednesday? I'm thinking Sunday or Monday.
You could sit there and laugh and joke that, hydrating's about drinking beer, and beer is 90% water anyways, but the fact of the matter is that beer will dehydrate you, will make you sick. So if you want to be a serious race car driver, you want to feel good the entire race and not lose any kind of mental capacity, you have got to start drinking water on Wednesday, and no later than Wednesday. And I'm not talking have a glass or two, I'm talking a gallon of water. This heat will absolutely kill you behind the wheels, and I'm preaching to the choir because we've got a lot of drivers out there that drive these cars, and they're sitting there going, Dan, you've never driven a car, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Well, I've got scientific facts to back it up.
I am a driver, and I know what I'm talking about.
And you guys have got to start hydrating. So it's a key thing to being able to stay in the car for as long as you guys do. For your modified and finishing out your feature event, Jim Tees out of Mapleton, Iowa in the 23T brings home the victory. First time I believe Tees has brought home the victory at Crawford County Speedway. Josh Most finishes second. Jeff Stevens out of Arion finishes third. Andy Gage, another good run for Andy Gage in the 02 car, finishes fourth, and Craig Reitz finishes fifth. I want to talk briefly. Do you want to do it now, or do you want to wait until we're done with the points?
Well, let's preview it now while it's fresh in our mind. Little WWE activity going on after the feature race.
I think if Ed McMahon was standing there, he'd have given those two guys.
Vince McMahon.
Yes, Vince. Ed McMahon would have given you a check. Vince McMahon would have given those guys a contract. So
a title shot.
I'm not going to begin to speculate as far as what happened, because all I did, the race was over with, and the modifieds of the last feature race at Crawford County on a Friday night, and I started packing up my equipment to bring
I was
down all
standing
the
right
PA.
there. We were getting ready to walk out the back door of the announcer's booth.
All of a sudden, crowd's cheering. Everyone's excited because Jim Tees won, and it was a great, exciting finish for everybody. I thought Josh Mose was going to catch him, but just could not get to him. And all of a sudden, you hear an engine revving and rapping out. You're talking about hitting the rev limiter. It was hitting the rev limiter on a frequent basis. And I look up, and Josh Most is plowing into the side of the number 14 of Matt Bonine and pushing him across the backstretch. They eventually spin out. Engines shut off. The drivers get out, and the officials then showed up before any punches were thrown. It's to my understanding that Matt had done something to Josh on the cool-down lap because he wasn't happy with Josh. And a pretty large fight broke out between crew, drivers, officials trying to break everything up. Did you see anything or hear anything that I didn't
hear it? Now, it's no secret to the dirt track community. Josh and I are pretty good friends, but like I've said here before on Slingin Dirt in the front stretch, I've got to be fair to both sides of the issue. And the one thing I was told was that Matt Bonine, the 14 car, had been mad at Josh for about a year or so. And when I talked to Josh today via phone, he was extremely happy about that 23 car winning. Oh, my God. Him and Jeff Stevens came up. Stevens was third in that race. They're giving Thies a thumbs up and whatnot. And something happened after the race or during the heat race. Josh never got anybody. Didn't get into anybody.
Heat or feature?
In the heat race. Okay. Supposedly it started in the heat race. But in the heat race, there was a big wreck going into turn 3. And Josh didn't really get into anybody. Matt didn't really get into anybody, but Matt had already had something going on for Josh. Now, the one thing I'd like to hear is Matt's side of the story. But then after the feature, Matt either went over some tires and clipped Most or something like that, and then Most just dropped the hammer, put it in low, and went into Matt. Now,
we want to be really careful as far as what we say, because it's the eternal saying of there's his side of the story, there's their side of the story, and then there's the truth.
Maybe we could get them both on Slingin Dirt, and
we're gonna effort it for next week. Try to get those guys on Slingin Dirt, so that way, first off, we need to interview him because Matt Bonine's doing great at Crawford. Josh Most is going to be a good interview.
Matt Bonine is not a slouch driver. I have seen that kid do things in a race car that I thought were impossible. When he was running up there at Ottawa, good God Almighty, he'd have everybody, man, woman, and child, standing in the aisles.
So both of those guys, as of the time we recorded the show, Wednesday night, and as of you're listening to it Thursday morning, I have not heard a final as far as what they have decided to do with those two guys. I've heard a lot of different ideas being kicked around because the thing is, that got out of hand.
That got out of hand really fast.
As much as fans like to see a little drama and a little bit of pushing and shoving and, hey, F you and you suck and that kind of stuff, we don't want to see anybody get hurt, and I think we came close to that because it just straight up got out of hand, and those two guys both lost their cool. I know Josh from growing up with him. We were in the same town together, and I knew I graduated with his sister. Don't know him very personally, but outside of sitting behind the car, he is the most well-spoken, soft-spoken, nice guy I've met in a long time. He promotes this series and this what we do so well, but I've heard it from a lot of people and I've seen it firsthand. When you put him behind the wheel, he turns into Kyle Busch, and rather than going around you, he'll go through you, and it rubs a lot of drivers the wrong way.
Yep.
Literally and figuratively. So
what's our point standing looking like?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where that lines up. So let's take look at your point standings. As of 7/13, as of last Friday the 13th, by the way, your Sport Compact Division, Deb Brosh regains the lead. She's got a nice, comfortable lead over Tim Cass, who sits second. Alex Davis sits third. Tony Carragher sits fourth. And Patrick Rodina sits fifth. Last week, I know we say just real quick we want to point this out, but I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible.
It's a Slingin Dirt. We're not on a time frame here. Dan, come on. Last week,
we covered the Nebraska tracks, and we didn't get a chance to talk about who took over the points lead for the Sport Compact Division. And it's a very kind of a sensitive matter for a lot of us at Crawford County because it's one of our own. But Tom Summerfield, who we talked about on the front stretch a couple of weeks ago, after the week of 629, the races that night, I believe he finished second. He took over the points lead for the week of 7-6, and that night of 7:29 or 7:28, I can't remember the exact date that Friday, but he fell and hurt his back and is currently paralyzed. But I did talk to a couple of people last Friday night, and he's recovering well, and the prognosis for him has been upgraded, so he's got a much better chance.
He's actually getting some feeling back, I believe.
He does. Before it was just up above his shoulders where he couldn't feel. Now it's down closer to his stomach. The swelling in his back is going down, which is letting him regain a lot of his motion, a lot of his feeling, but it was kind of a touching thing to kind of look at the points last week, walking into last Friday, and Tom Summerfield was leading in the points. So the friends, family of Tom out there, we really miss Tom out there, and if you ever need anything, you just give us a call, email us on the Facebook page, give us a call. You can get a hold of us at the Crawford County. We want to help out in any way we can. You
know what's really magical about the Sport Compacts at Crawford County Speedway this year? Deb Roche gets that feature win, chases down her feature win, wins that on the anniversary of her son passing away.
Yeah.
And then Tom Summerfield, unfortunately, he hurts his back. He's paralyzed, but then he takes a points lead.
Yeah.
I mean, if that ain't special, if that doesn't tell you about the magical touch that Crawford County has.
Well, and the fact that we did a pass the helmet for him on Friday night, and we were able to raise
$1,420, and that was amazing.
$1,240, and that was just from the fans, and then another $300 came from the pits, from the crew and the drivers. So $1,500 doesn't go a long ways when you're talking about medical bills and spinal cord and all that kind of stuff, but it helps. And I know that they did a memorial or a bit of a tribute for him. They did a 4-wide parade lap with every single car there that night, and it looked awesome. And the video was shown for Tom the next morning, and I've been told by family that he greatly appreciated it and got a little bit emotional. So he's going through a lot right now, and as this community does so well, we pull together and help our own. So any way that the Summerfield family needs our help, you just give us a call, and you better believe we'll be there. So that was your Sport Compact. Deb Roche taking over the points lead. She's got a 10-point lead over Tim Cass, who Tim, Tony Carragher, Patrick Redinas, Shannon Malberg, those guys are absolutely battling it out every single week. It sounds weird to say it, but that is one of my favorite features to watch each and every week, because those guys always start in the back and they make their way up to the front. And within that 10 laps, you're seeing those 5-6 cars up in the front. And it's good battle.
A lot of these dirt tracks, Nebraska, Iowa, or wherever, a lot of these dirt tracks, the Sport Compacts are very well known for that. And a lot of times people that didn't like the Sport Compacts are now beginning to be fans of the Sport Compacts just because of that kind of racing.
It's some great racing. For your hobby stock division, Donnie Gustoff continues to lead out of Scranton, Iowa. Justin Nearing is in second, 4 points behind Willie Ransom in the 7W car, 11 points back in third place. Cody Gustoff is in fourth place with 22 points behind, and Jason Fusselman rounds out the top 5 with 28 points back. The Joe's Karting Sport Mod division, your current leader, Logan Scott out of Odebolt, big drop by brother Keegan Scott. He loses a position and loses 24 points to his brother. Had a little bit of an issue with that car, and I joked with the Scott brothers before the race that I must be bad luck, because I came up and talked to him and wished him luck before that week. 2 weeks in a row, I went up to him and wished him luck, and they've both had bad nights.
Why don't you go wish them luck and sit in their car?
I told him I was never going to talk to him again.
I tell you what, great guys, great family, some of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
And this is a great little story, too, out of Woodward, Iowa, driver of the 59, Tara Longnecker. I got to get down there and talk to her. She's 23 points out of the lead, but in second place, but she's wheeling that car like it's nobody's business. And I'd like to get her on one of these times, either the front stretch or the Slingin dirt.
I think what's helping her is she's being consistent and being smooth. She's not overdriving the car, but she's not being lackadaisical behind the wheel either.
Yeah.
I noticed that, Friday night was the first time I got to run against her lap after lap after lap in that feature, and I was like, wow, she's really, really got the control of this car. I mean, and she garnered a lot of respect from me.
Yeah, and sitting fourth, 25 points out, the car we talked about earlier, Tanner Powers out of Exira, Iowa. So your Adams Motor Stock Car Division.
You missed fifth place on that one.
No, I didn't miss it. The Stock Car Division. All right. You
gotta be kidding me.
Driver the number 25, Joe's Karting, Buffalo Wild Wings car. Buddy Ray Jones out of Council Bluffs, 46 points out. Takes 2 points to jump up. Takes a 2-position jump, though. A lot of cars. There was a big pile up several big pileups in the sport mod division that definitely helped you out. And I don't want to talk bad. You're a good friend of mine as always, and I'm rooting for you more than Chris Ulrich up in that announcer's booth, which is surprising to a lot of fans. But you've been the benefactor of a consistent run and a lot of wrecking that. It hurt you at the beginning of the season because you were involved in the wrecking, but now, I mean, that sport mod's turning into, I think we had 8 cautions.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's a couple of drivers out there that are still getting their feet wet and learning how to race a sport mod.
You know what?
And
that's
it'd be
what I'm
great
doing.
if you could go down there and coach them a little bit. But
that's what I'm doing, because when I know the track's going to be dry slick like that, right away I'm telling my team members, I was like, guys, we're not really going to go out here to win. I know some of the guys are going to drop out. We need to kind of keep it just smooth and just be patient.
Boy, we're doing a lot of talking. We're 20 minutes in, and we've still got 5 more tracks to talk about, so we better pick up the pace. The stock car division, Donovan Smith continues to lead. He's going to, he takes the lead fully. He was tied with Chris Ulrich, who's in second place, but Chris, despite the fact that he won, wait a minute. I've got to have my points screwed up. Give me a second here. You just blab on for a minute.
Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I mean that's what Dan told me to do. So, but Crawford County, they're coming along pretty good this year. They're the car count's stabilizing quite a bit now. You saw the higher car counts at the beginning of the year, and it dropped off, and that's pretty standard amongst all the dirt tracks. But now you're starting to see the weekly guys really battle it out for points, and you're seeing some good racing there this year.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I know I have a lot of experience talking about good battles at dirt tracks, but this is definitely entertaining every Friday night. So now I got it figured out. I put the negative and the positive in the wrong position. Chris Ulrich jumps a position from third to second. Adam Clucky drops a position from second to third. So Bill Reitz sits fourth, 15 points out, and Tony Ritterbusch is fifth, sitting 22 points out. For your United, I don't need to read the sponsors. I'm so used to it, though. The late model division, Jason Haney is your current points leader. Al Zeitner takes a little bit of a hit in the points because he didn't race Friday night. So in the feature race, he raced in the heat race, but not the feature. So he takes 15 points behind, sitting in second. Vic Lovejoy gains a little bit of position. He's third. Doesn't gain a position, but he gains a little bit of points on Al Zeitner and Jason Haney. 19 points behind. Jeff Siegebart, 34 points behind in fourth, and Don Beckstrom in fifth place, 37 points back. Your final division, automotive, you're modified. I keep reading the sponsor. I'm sorry, guys. You don't need to know that. Red Munson out of Harlan is your current points leader. Matt Bonine, 15 points out, sits in second. He jumps a position. Jim Tees, with his win, jumps 2 positions, 19 points back in third. Shane DeMay drops 2 positions. He is 19 points back. He's in fourth. And Jeff Stevens, with a good top 5 finish, jumps a position, 21 points behind our current leader. Jeff Stevens is sitting fifth. So Red Munson leading there at Crawford County Speedway.
All right, I'm going to start over here on my side with Stewart International Speedway right there in Stewart, Iowa. This is your feature results, top 5. This would be from this last Sunday, which would have been the 17th, I believe. In the 6-cylinder front-wheel drive feature... it'd
have been the 15th.
Or the 15th, my bad. In the 619J car, Scott Brown out of Omaha, Nebraska. The 18th and 4th, it would be Jordan Peters. Taking home third, Devin Richards. Second, Alex Davis. There's a name we recognize. And your feature winner, Andy Forkt out of Stewart, Iowa. Hope I said that right. In your regular sport compact feature, taking home 4th, Scott Brown. Third would be Jordan Peters. Taking home second with Devin Richards. And winning that feature, Alex Davis once again. In your hobby stocks, finishing 5th place, Aaron Rudolph out of Grand Junction, Iowa. 4th would be Aaron Berg. Third would be Jason Cole, the 27 machine out of Missouri Valley, Iowa. Taking home second in the hobby stocks, Austin Llewellyn out of Minburn, Iowa. And taking home the feature win in the 4W, John Watson out of Des Moines, Iowa. In the sport mods, taking home 5th would be the 92P of Michael Prue out of Redfield, Iowa. Taking home 4th would be the 64 Casey Grubel. Taking home 3rd, the 23 JR of Nick Roberts. Taking home 2nd place, the 32L of Ty Llewellyn. Man, he runs good out of Minburn, Iowa.
I just want to point out, it's really a good thing we're on the radio.
Sitting 2nd. Or I'm sorry,
well,
taking
not really
home
on the radio, but
taking home 1st was the 99K of Cody Havens out of Wyoto, Iowa. In your stock cars, taking home 5th, Jeremy Gettler out of Adair in the 23A machine. Taking home 4th in the 1F, Marcus Fagan. Third place would be your 7A of Jeff Anderson. Second in the 92B of Flying Brian Blessington. And taking home a feature win in the stock cars out of McClellan, Iowa, the 66 of Jeff Joldersma. There's a guy I'd like to interview. In the modifieds, picking up his first ever IMCA feature win, I believe, in a modified. Taking home first place, Devin Havlick. Second in the 3Z would be Randy Havlick. Third would be Jammin' Jimmy Gustin. Fourth would be Happy Gilman, Josh Gilman in the 83G machine. And fifth place would be Shea Woods in the 20W. Now in your points. Late models. The late models didn't run this week. Top 5 in points, Todd Cooney. Second, Chad Cooney. 3, Darrell DeFrance, former IMCA national champion. Fourth would be Kevin Sather, and fifth would be Randy Fox. In the modifieds, top 5 in points. Fifth place, Kent Krosky out of Polk City, Iowa. Sitting fourth, Allison Davidson out of Reading, Iowa. Sitting third place, Randy Havlick. Second place in the modifieds, Jammin' Jimmy Gustin, and first place, Happy Gilman, Josh Gilman, that 83G out of Earlham, Iowa. In the stock cars in points, fifth place, Jamie Schrim. Fourth place, Jeff Anderson. Third place, Jeff Joldersma. Man, he's on a tear there this year. Second place, Flying Brian Blessington. And first place in the stock cars in points, Marcus Fagan. In your sport mods, and this is going to be close, top 5 out of Dexter, Iowa, the 3F machine of Cole Ferguson. Fourth place, David Schlicht. Third place, Clinton Llewellyn. Second place, Michael Pruitt. In your current points leader, Nick Roberts out of Des Moines, Iowa. All right, number 5, Alex Davis, the 121 out of...
No. Lead it up again. And don't talk so fast. It's hard to understand. I mean, we got to get through this, but just go.
All right, in your sport compacts, top 5 in points. Fifth place, Alex Davis. Fourth place, Scott Brown. Third place, Devin Richards. 2, Adam Kralik. And first, Jordan Peters. I got to tell you, Dan, it's really not easy reading some of these names.
Thank you.
Well, I feel for you. In your hobby stocks, fifth place would be Nathan Lang. Fourth, Austin Llewellyn. Third, Jason Cole. Second, John Watson. And first is Brandon Pruitt out of Dexter, Iowa. He's your current points leader. In the stock cars, I can't remember if we already did these or not. I've done and read so many names. Yeah, I believe we did. All righty. So there's your current points leaders.
That's for Stewart Speedway.
There's Shelby County.
I thought I was doing Adams.
You go ahead and do Adams.
I'll do Adams. For your late model A feature, J.C. Wyman was the winner. Jason O'Brien came in second. Paul Glenningen came in third. Jason Hampel came in fourth, and Chris Spiker came in fifth. For your modified
it's Chris
Speaker for your modified A feature, Jeff Wiggins brought home the checkered flag. Jared Steins was second. Todd Van Eaton was third. Dan Mueller fourth, and Brian Foote was fifth. Jeff Jones brings home the checkered flag. For your feature on your B mods, Blaine Peterson second, Ron Ballinger third, Jared Weston fourth, and Brett Shepard was fifth. I'm liking these names so far. Hobby stock A feature, your winner for the night, Ryan Sutter came in first if he's your feature winner. Matt McAtee is second, Jeremy Purdy third, David Weeda was fourth, and Andy Davidson rounds out your top 5 for your pro stocks. Glenn Miller takes on the checkered flag. Steve Churchill second. Brad Derry is third. Jason Rold fourth, and Tony Hardesty is fifth. So that's your Adams County results from Friday, July 13th. For your B-Mod point standings, Jared Weston still your points leader. Jeffrey Jones second. Blaine Peterson third. Ron Ballinger Jr. is fourth, and Brett Stevens rounds out your top 5.
What's the split there in points?
Well, that's a good, it's 15 points between first and second.
Wow.
And after that, my math just can't do it fast enough, so.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. They do actually have it there. So between first and second, it's 15 points. Between first and fifth is 70 points. So
okay.
Pretty tight battle between first, second, and third, but then there's a little distance between fourth and
I believe
fifth.
a feature win is worth 50 points at that track.
Is it really?
Yep. I believe so.
Okay, I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere on our sheets, but that's not to say it's not. So 50 points there. So dang, good points pay off them. For your hobby stock division, Matt McAtee is your current points leader, 14 points behind him. Jeremy Otten in third is Jeremy Purdy. He is 63 points out of the lead. Rick Ritchie is fourth, also 63 points out of the lead. Brett Sink is fifth. He is 79 points out of the lead. For your late model division, J.C. Wyman is your current points leader. Chris Spiker is second. Speaker. Really? Speaker? All right, I'll take it. It should be an easy word to pronounce, but I can't get it. 3 points behind him, so very tight battle there in your late model division. Paul Glendaling is third with 12 points behind. Jason O'Brien is fourth, 25 points behind. John Hampel is fifth and rounds out your top five, just 35 points back. So very tight battle at Adams County Speedway for the late model division. In your modifieds, Jared Steins is your current points leader. John Davis is second, 37 points behind. Brian Foote is third, 45 points back. Jesse Dennis is fourth, and Dan Mueller is fifth. So Jared Stein's kind of walking away with the points battle there. 37 points to the good as far as the lead goes. For your pro stock, Greg Miller is your current points leader. Jason Rold, just 6 points behind. Brad Derry is 31 points behind. Craig Gardner is in fourth. He is 48 points behind. And Tony Hardesty is fifth with 66
Really, he's
points.
That far back, huh?
You know, it'd be nice if you could blow up these points a little bit more. I'm getting kind of old. I can't see that well.
It's pretty darn fine print. You notice mine you can actually
I
read.
can see that. You've got all this stuff all nice and looking up. And we were talking about it today. You were like, God, you've been working on the Crawford County points all day long. Well, I've got to blow it up and do all this different statistical stuff that it would be really nice if you would do the same for me.
I'll keep that in mind. It's
Thanks.
easier to read.
Well, whether you keep it in mind or do it sounds like it's going to be two different things.
All right, I got Shelby County Speedway results. These are the results for July 14th in the Sport Compacts. Fifth place, Paul Beebe out of Des Moines, Iowa. Fourth place, Josh Davis. Third place, Taylor Griffin. Second, Jamie Malberg. And first, Bronson Griffin out of Portsmouth, Iowa.
And that's in what division of Sport
That was
Compact?
in the Sport Compacts in the A feature.
Oh, wow. Good job for Jamie.
Oh, yeah.
For the Malbergs. I mean, those guys are damn fast in this area.
Jamie went from 9th to 2nd in the feature, so that's pretty good. In your hobby stock feature, fifth place goes to Mike Hansen out of Atlantic, Iowa. Fourth is Fuzzy, Jason Fuzzelman out of Shelby, Iowa. Third goes to Jamie Songer. Second is Dusty Van Horn. In first place from 9th to 1st is the 78 machine of Shannon Anderson out of Atlantic, Iowa. In the Sport Mod feature, fifth place, the 777 Cody Olson out of Omaha, Nebraska. Fourth place, Galen Grable. Third, that guy from 20th to 8th, Randy Archer. Jared Hansen in the 23 machine comes from 11th to 2nd. And your current Sport Mod feature winner from the 14th, Team Crazy Jesse Sobbing from 12th to 1st. In the stock car feature, fifth place from the feature, Mike Stapleton. Fourth place is 78 of Jeff Anderson. Third is Brian Blessington. Second, Bill Osborne. And first, Keith Knopp in the 10X machine. In the late models, fifth place would be Jeff Siegabart. Fourth, Saturday night was Mel Zeitner. We just seen him at Crawford County. Third place, Barry Sorensen. Second, Al Zeitner. First place, Todd Cooney in the 30 machine out of Des Moines, Iowa. In your modified feature, fifth place, the 2K machine from 10th to 5th, Chad Pruill. From 8th to 4th place be Ricky Steffen. From 1st to 3rd, Dangerous Dale Ransom. He actually came on pretty good at Crawford County in that feature.
He did.
Second place from 9th to 2nd, Shane DeMaine at 15M. And wahoo, Mike Albertson from 7th to 1st from Ottoman, Iowa. That's your current feature winners from the 14th. On to our points for Shelby County. Fifth place, Jamie Songer. This is in the hobby stocks. Jamie Songer takes home fifth place. Jason Cole currently sits fourth. Jason Fusselman sits there in that third spot. Dusty Van Horn sits second. Shannon Anderson is your leader by 21 points over second in the hobby stocks. In the late models, I'm just reading this down off SpeedNet Direct. Fifth place, Al Zeitner. Fourth place in the late models would be Chad Cooney. Fourth place, Barry Sorensen. Second place, Jay Stewart. And your current leader in the late models, it would be Todd Cooney in the 30 machine. And first to fifth is separated by 42 points, 40 points for a win.
Wow, nice battle there.
Oh, yeah. In the modifieds, man, this is a neat story here. Fifth place, Bub Lorette. I told you he could run good anywhere. He's sitting fifth place. First year back out after 1 or 2 year hiatus. Fourth place, the 92 machine of Jeff Stevens. Third, it'd be Wahoo, Mike Albertson. And then racer Ricky Steffen, the number 25 car, sitting second in points. Your current points leader, the Shane DeMay, the 15M at Harlan, Iowa. First to fifth, separated by 31 points.
Wow.
Once again, 40 points for feature win. Sport Mod division. Fifth place, number 45, Dennis Cook. Fourth place, Randy Archer. Third place, the 777 of Cody Olson. Second place, 23 of Jared Hansen. And your current points leader, Jesse Sabine, 30 points out in the lead, running really good there. In your Sport Compacts, fifth place, 619J Scott Brown. Fourth place, 24M Kane Malberg. Third is 86 of David Skarenko. Second is the 86B of Bronson Griffin. And first place, the number 24 machine of Jamie Malberg. First to fifth, separated by 67 points. In the stock car division, and I believe this is the last division we have. Yep. Fifth place, number 9 of Chris Rett out of Council Bluffs, Iowa. Instead in fourth, 27X of Alan Schmidt out of Holstein, Iowa. Third place, Keith Knopp in the 10X out of Shelby, Iowa. Sitting second place, number 78, Jeff Anderson out of Atlantic. And Flying Brian Blessington is your current points leader. Now, you want to talk about a tight points race. I have to double check this. This is amazing. From first to fifth is separated by 46 points. First to second, 7 points. First to third, 18 points. First to fourth, 23 points. Wow. So guess who 4 cars are running up front every week?
No kidding. Great battle there at that. And that's for...
And that was for Shelby County Speedway. And the one thing, we're done with all the dirt tracks. Now, I do have members of Joe's Karting in our dirt track series. We've never done this. So, what we were talking about, we want to show these guys a little bit of love. It is a new dirt track series. Mm-hmm. On the weeks only that we do Iowa, because the Nebraska track weeks, we have a lot of tracks, and we may slim that down a little bit. There's 22 drivers in this, or 21 drivers. Sitting 21st, Dave Archibald, 28 points. 20th, Damon Richards with 56.539. 19th, Gunnar Pike with 82 points. 18th, Alonzo Gross with 180.080. 17th would be Colton Baker with 243.273 points. 16th is Kevin Zeitner with 407.726 points. 15th would be Josh Most, 489.001. 14th is Kevin Anderson with 588.750. 13th in points would be Keegan Scott, 632. 12th place, Jesse Sabine with 640.341. Cade Richards sits 11th with 686.176. 10th place in points, Shane DeMay, 687.998. Sitting 9th is Gary Sadoff with 698 points, .332. Dennis Cook sits 8th with 713.500. 7th in points is Matt Richards with 718.525. Logan Scott currently sits 6th with 725 points. Top 5 payout. 5th place currently, Mike Pruitt with 750 points with $26 coming back to him so far. Current 4th place, Hunter Weber, 767.375 points with 57.75 coming back. Sitting 3rd place, Dylan Smith in the A-Mods, 781.429 points with 86.75 coming back. Sitting 2nd place, Jack Dover in the sprint cars. He has 786.225 points with 115.50 coming back. And your current points leader in the dirt track series, Nelson Volbrecht with 881.537 points with a total of 144.50 coming back.
Where does Nelson run out of?
Nelson runs out of Albion, and on his dirt track series, the nights that he claimed, he ran Albion and Riviera Speedway.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So pretty good showing there, and a lot of confusion as to how this works. We'll explain that later on, maybe on Slingin Dirt, because a lot of drivers are really interested by this because they see that Jesse Sabine's won all these races, but he's only 12th currently in my dirt track series. Mm-hmm. So now there's a series out there where somebody could race and beat Jesse. All right, so that wraps up the Joe's Karting Dirt Track series, which is a pretty good series, and a lot of drivers taking a lot of interest in that. Maybe we can get Kelly Shryock from the USMTS in this at later on down the road. Which brings me to Kelly, the man, the myth, the legend, the one that all others are measured by. If NASCAR had Dale Earnhardt Sr., if NHRA had Kenny Bernstein or, the Snake Perdome or John Force, USMTS had Kelly Shryock. He has the car to beat. He has the car to have. He's a chassis builder. He's been around the block. He is one of the greatest of the greats, and we are so happy to have you on the phone here on Slingin' Dirt, Kelly.
Kelly, I think it's safe to say Bud's heard about you.
I'd say that's probably a little overwhelming on an introduction, but we're just a guy that runs a modified that tries hard, and as the years go by, you achieve some goals, and we've been pretty fortunate and won some races along the way, and pretty happy with how things have went.
If you want, Bud's actually for hire. He'll come around and follow you around and do introductions for you.
That's I might need to do that, yes.
Well, if you think I'm overly gracious, I could always say, on the phone is Kelly Shryock, the guy that runs dead last every week. But it's not that he's last; he just runs in the back with style.
Well, thanks, Kelly. Thanks so much for joining us on Slingin' Dirt. It's an all dirt track session where we talk for about 30, 45, maybe an hour about all dirt tracks. So talk a little bit about your career. I'm new to the dirt track series. I don't know much about the SLMR, the USMTS, this kind of stuff. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, we just, we've been pretty much in modifieds our whole life. Tried a little short stint in late models there, and we really enjoy the late models, but it was kind of out of our budget at the time, and worked for Bob Harris with Harris Auto Racing for just almost 20 years, and hooked up with Eric Kirschbaum and started building cars in 01, actually in 02, and I've been busy with that ever since. So we've been really working with modified since I was a senior in high school, and that was a long time ago.
Well, didn't your dad actually have quite a bit of success when he was running late models and modifieds before he unfortunately passed away?
Oh yes, he was big into the late models, and he just picked up a really good late model ride, and unfortunate accident took his life in a construction accident, and we think about him pretty much every day, and wonder where things would have went if the accident would have happened. But our modified success has been overwhelmed for us, throughout the years, and it's something that's really neat. But as I get older, the young guns, man, what can you say about some of the young guns coming up? They're just super fast, and they're giving the old guys a run for their money, that's for sure.
You might consider yourself an old feller in the sport, and, you certainly are an elder statesman in the USMTS division, but by no means would I count you out, and we could sit here all night, and I would love to pick your brains about a lot of things in racing, but I want to get down to the nitty-gritty. You got a big race coming up this weekend out at I-80 Speedway, the Silver Dollar Nationals. Last year you ran there. I can't remember exact. I know you were in the feature. I couldn't remember if didn't you finish like third or fourth last year in that?
We actually won the first night, and
I wasn't there that night.
Actually,
okay.
We were going to probably, I don't like to say we would have won, but we had just passed, I believe, Jeremy Payne with a few laps to go, and an unfortunate lap car situation got involved, and ended up getting my car tore up with just a couple laps to go. So, it was almost 2 for 2 there. We're looking forward to going back to I-80. Pretty cool racetrack, and hopefully we can have the same success we had there last year.
How's the car feeling for I-80 this weekend? You guys got some work left to do on it, or are you pretty happy with the way it's running right now?
Well, I'm never happy with it. As we learn, as we get our doors blowed off, you go to the drawing board again, and it takes so much time to really find speed in a car. And right now there's a couple pretty good fast cars, and if we were content to run in the top 5, we'd probably be okay with that. But like anybody else, we want to show up and win, and we got a pretty good setup to run consistently. But it's not as fast as some of the cars are, so we just keep going to the drawing board, and hopefully we're on to something here, and we can put this thing in Victory Lane. It's pretty cool with all the people there at I-80, and we thank the Kaziskis for having us there.
And that brings me up to my next question. I'm looking here at the USMTS National Championship Series point standings, and this is as of July 14th. as of July 14th, you're ranked fourth in the national points. You got 1 win, 5 top 5s, 12 top 10s. You brought in $16,000, I believe. I see here. With that being said, how big is the Silver Dollar Nationals? I mean, is this just another race, on your schedule? Or is this, is there a little bit more meaning behind this race? Does this add a little bit more pressure for you to, maybe advance farther up in those top 3 in points?
Well, I mean, our deal right now in the national points, they're taking 20 of your best finishes, and we get to throw out any of our bad finishes. And, Ryan Gustin's setting the standard again here. He's won like 4 of the last 5 or 5 of the last 6. He's won a bunch here lately. So, if we're going to want to contend for the championship, we're going to have to really start winning races, or if not, it's almost too late now probably for us. But there's a lot of money on the line, and at I-80 there's so many people there, and it's just kind of the more people in the stands and the race of that caliber, and you can pull one of them off. It just is pretty cool to be able to win a race like that.
Can you talk a little bit more about what all you have ran? I know we just covered exactly what you're running right now, but talk a little bit about where you got your start. You kind of got your feet wet a little bit in some of your experience and all the classes you've moved up through.
My first year we started out in it was a hobby stock. It was a 69 or 70 Nova. We built it pretty much. It was a hobby stock car, gutted out fenders. We filled the frame in, and that was our first year. And then the next year we went to the modifieds, and we ended up winning our first feature that year on the season championship. Unfortunately, that was on a Friday night. And then my dad won on Saturday night, and then he lost his wife on Monday. And then it was really a kind of a struggle the next couple of years. We didn't win for the next 2 years. Just things kind of went amiss. We'd be leading and have flat tires, and I think it was just a test to see how bad we really wanted to race. And then the next year we come out, and we won like 18-some races that next year. And from there we continued to win races and championships, and then moved into the late models for a bit. And then,
let me interrupt you just for a second there. Was there any thought during that 2-year process when you were having so many issues, was there any thought of giving up and just trying something else?
Most definitely. I mean, you work so hard and you spend every darn dollar you got, and you just don't want to be a quitter at anything, but you often think about that. And my mom, bless her heart, she asked the question. I didn't really understand it for a while, but it was like she asked me, are you sure you want to be a race car driver? And I really didn't understand what she was asking me at the time. But back in the day when we first started racing, we were not very aggressive, and we really weren't a race car driver at all. Wherever I stand in today's world, just shows hard work can prevail. So, my mom's proved that, if you, for myself, that if you stick with something, you can get good at what you're doing. And, we've accomplished a lot along the way, and I'm glad I didn't give up on it.
So you went from your modifieds. Where'd you go from there as you were stepping up to your next class?
We went to the late models, the IMCA late models. It was a little carburetor. We really didn't have all the backing or the what it took to run the late models. I would love to run the late models, and we were running a little 390 carburetor, and it was just a tough show with that 390 carburetor for myself. And so we were about to sell out and move south. Actually, it was a pretty cool deal. We actually sat in a little makeshift office. Kenny Schrader was running a lot of stuff for Bob Harris and the Harris House Cars, and he got me hooked up with Hendricks, and we actually sat in a little makeshift office with a guy by the name of Ray Everham that was going to have some new driver by the name of Jeff Gordon drive for Rick Hendricks.
I think I've heard of those two guys.
Yeah, I sat in a little makeshift office up on top there, and they were just putting that team together, and it was like, this would be pretty cool to do this. And, well, then that's kind of when USMS started. and they were talking about a traveling series for modifieds, and they're like, man, that sounds pretty cool. That sounds like something we want to do instead of moving south. So, that kind of started our traveling in the modified series, and from there, that USMS kind of folded 3 or 4 years in, and then Janet and Todd Staley took over with the USMTS, the current status of USMTS, and we've been running, majority of them races ever since.
Okay, the question I really want to ask you, because this is going to get asked of a lot of us drivers in the stands watching you this Friday and Saturday night, Kelly, is what is the difference between, your weekly IMCA mod and you guys? I mean, obviously you guys are going to be running faster, but for the people in the stands and even some of the people in the pits, to them a mod's a mod. I mean, I hear it all the time in an IMCA sport mod. People are like, well, what's the difference between an A mod and a sport mod? I was like, I ain't got enough time to tell you, basically. So, but what is the difference between, the A mods and then the USMTS?
I would say, there's a lot of little issues with, we can run a lot of little different aftermarket stuff like, tubular lower rate frames. Some of the stuff is not an advantage, but, we get to run a quick change where the IMCA car cannot run a quick change. We run a spoiler where they can't. But, the biggest thing is just the caliber of drivers that we race with. Not saying IMCA don't have good drivers, because there's a lot of great drivers in IMCA, but USMTS has got the cream of the crop, and in most cases they've got a pretty good darn budget to back them and keep them going fast all year long.
What do you, in your opinion, being a long-standing member of the USMTS, what's your thoughts and opinions on the future of the USMTS with today's economy being the way it is?
Well, I'm in constant talks with Todd and Staley about, trying to cheapen things up for the average working guy. I mean, not only is the modified my love, it's, my business too. And, it's just getting so darn expensive to run one of these cars. And, I've been talking with Todd for the last 10 years about trying to, keep the sport cheap enough that the average guy can afford to race it. And, right now it's like anything, just, technology and evolution is just taking over, and it's just, our engines are just ridiculously priced. The expense per night is up there so much to the point where, you can't really even win and pay your bills. So that makes a bad situation where if you don't have the extra money in a checking account somewhere or have access to the extra money, by the end of the year, you're going to have less than what you started with. And, for myself, that's just not an option for us. We got to be able to pay our bills along the way.
Talk about the future for you. What does it look like? What's your next move? Are you considering a next move? Is this going to be the last year in USM in your modified division? Are you going to move up to another one? Maybe sprint cars? What's your next move?
No, I would love to drive a sprint car. Modified is where we'll be. We just continue to try to do it as long as we can afford to do it. And when we can't afford to do it, we'll step back and run some limited races and go from there. So, it's just it's so tough. Just as I get older, the traveling is getting a little bit more difficult to do, and the expense is well up there. So we just have to see what time will allow us to do.
Kelly, I want to thank you so much for being on Slingin' Dirt here, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend. I know Dan Taylor and I, we're going to be out there on. We're going to be there Thursday night, tomorrow night. We're actually tonight by the time this comes out. We're going to be there on the 21st, that Saturday. We'll come down and we'll get to meet you. Hope you the best. Real quick before we let you go, where can people go to follow you, see what you're doing, how your season's going, and stuff like that?
Trackracing.com. Pretty much follow the USMTS. Not much into the Twitter and that kind of stuff. So,
don't worry, I didn't know what a podcast was until 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we don't do much of the internet kind of things, but pretty much USMTS or the trackracing.com will pretty much fill you on where we're at.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Best of luck at the Silver Dollar Nationals and the rest of your season.
All right, we look forward to seeing you guys this weekend.
Thank you. Good guy. I liked interviewing him. He was well spoken.
The way I took that one part is, one, I never knew Kelly was in a hobby stock. 2, that would be cool as hell to see him in a sprint car. And 3, to know that he was right there when Gordon and Abraham.
Yeah, when they were putting that crew together. That's
just think it could have been the DuPont Chevrolet of Kelly Shryock.
So you're going to get a chance to watch him race this weekend. I apologize. I didn't catch what car number he was.
Number 3.
Number 3 car number out of the, you'll see him at Silver Dollar Nationals this weekend for the USMTS Modified. So great talking to him. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight on the Slingin' Dirt. If you ever have any suggestions as far as who to cover, who to interview, and what tracks to talk about, you can always hit us up on the Facebook page. It's The Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting. That's our Facebook page. Get over there and talk to us on there. You can also email us, thefrontstretch590@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and have another great week at the track.